So if you think about it, we're the general contractor, right? So you come to us and we bring in all the professionals that make this little magical baby happen and put into your arms at the end of the day. And then
Yeah.
after that first time, it's almost this addictive joy that you see as you're part of this process and seeing the parents hold their baby for the first time that
Oh,
they never thought they would have. It's just very addictive. That sensation of, okay, I just helped.
yeah.
I think the biggest piece and what I always tell people is no matter what journey you're on, you have to trust the process. Be authentic to yourself, trust the process and the journey that you're on, get help, talk about it because you know what? Someone else might be in the same boat and they're afraid. So really elevate yourself.
Hey, Queen. Welcome to the She Elevates podcast. I'm your host, Liz Rakin, your favorite elevation bestie who's been through it, healed from it, and came back stronger with a mission. This podcast is your safe space and soul sanctuary where we talk real about relationships, motherhood, money, mindset, and everything in between. So if you're ready to reclaim your power, reconnect your purpose, and rewrite your story, let's get into it. Megan, thank you for joining us today on She Elevates podcast. I'm super excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Absolutely. Megan, you are the founder of Surro Connections, and it looks like you founded that back in 2010. What is Surro Connections and what inspired you?
Sure. Surro Connections handle matching between intended parents and surrogates in the industry of fertility. So if you are unable, in some reason or another, unable to have your own children, we help match you with someone who could be that oven. Sometimes people need egg donors and we refer that out, but our specialty is walking beside you through this surrogacy journey to bring you guys are out there that are struggling with fertility and make you parents. And that's ultimately our goal. So if you think about it, we're the general contractor, right? So you come to us and we bring in all the professionals that make this little magical baby happen and put into your arms at the end of the day. That's what we do. Uh,
Yeah.
We've been doing this for just over 15 years.
Wow. Just over. That's
It
a long time. That's
is.
fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And this really started the labor of love, so to speak. I guess it didn't start that way. I was a surrogate right after my daughter just turned 18. I delivered my first surrogate baby and he just turned 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
I was with an agency when I lived in Texas. I didn't need a lot of hand holding through the process, but I was living in Texas. I was a single mom of two, working in big business and management. I saw a billboard and I thought my pregnancies were easy. I could totally do that. And I'm very business minded, so I'm not going to be attached. I went through the journey, and even though I didn't need a lot of hand holding, it very much felt that I didn't have an advocate in the process. Being a first timer, you're going through all these unknowns, right? Between cycling and mental health evaluations and injections
Yeah.
and then carrying a baby that's not yours and managing expectations from the agency and the intended parents and then managing your own life as a mom, a working single
Yeah.
mom. I didn't feel like I had a lot of support and advocacy on my part. After that process, I actually just started helping people. And that evolved into now I have an amazing team of 16 that are worldwide. And all we
Yes.
do is live for making people families.
Oh, I love that. That is so beautiful. And what a story you have to tell that you've actually gone through this yourself
Yeah, I've
and
actually done it 4 times.
4 pregnancies. Wow, that's sick. I love that. That's so great.
Yeah.
And it's
Sorry.
go
It's
ahead.
very interesting because a lot of people, when they think surrogates, they think, oh, like baby mama or whatever the media puts out there. And
Yeah.
I'm always very honest. As a single mom, I wanted to buy my house and I said, I'm going to do it for the money and whatever relationship works out, great. At least I've done my part and added a little human to someone's life.
Yeah.
And I'm very honest about it. Like I did it for the money. That was the down payment of my house. And then
Yeah.
after that first time, it's almost this addictive joy that you see as you're part of this process and seeing the parents hold their baby for the first time they never thought they would have, it's just very addictive. That sensation of, okay, I just helped something bigger
Bring
in
a
myself.
life.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so beautiful. I had thought about doing this because I have 4 daughters, one a twin pregnancy. I've thought about that. I was like, if my sister can't conceive or needs help or just someone to carry the baby, I was like, I would be more than willing to do that. And then I did find out how much money you can make from it. And I was like, wow, what that could do for us, the family, and all these things. I had a business sense to it as well. Now I've never actually done it. And I think you told me I have what, two more years left. I'm
Couple more
40.
years.
So
That's good.
7 more years if I'm going to be a surrogate. I was also thinking about what a gift you bring to families that wouldn't otherwise have the child that they've been yearning for. And that's such a beautiful story. I can't even fathom the joy that you receive by doing that.
Yeah, every story is so different and every journey is so different. And that's what I really pride our team and our company on is walking beside you on what works best for you and your family. And that's not just the intended parents, but that's also the surrogates, right? Some people want that very businessy type. I'm okay, however it turns out. Once the parents get the baby, they just walk away. But some people really want that lifelong friendship. My third journey is the only one I'm actually in contact with. And I was there to the mom. We go on New Kids on the Block cruises and see them every couple of years, whether in
Oh,
Australia or here in the US. They come visit. It's not super close, but she sends me updates. And I just love that. But there's
wow.
just,
It's so cool.
yeah, it very much flows on whatever you guys want, the matching process. Really find a good balance for what that relationship looks like through the process.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure you have a very in-depth intake form for both sides to fill out, and then you do like a matchmaker thing with the parents, the surrogate. I guess there has to be some very deeply personal approach that you take. It sounds like it would be a very emotional journey for both the surrogate, the parents. What kind of extra support do you find that these families are needing that you saw in your own journey by being a surrogate? What are some of the big emotional or personal needs you see them needing during this time?
I think it's so hard to balance what each person needs because it's so different, right? The surrogate, not only are we living through the process, but add a bunch of hormones into that you're
Yeah.
injecting yourself with, or really holding a lot of unspoken expectations. Oh my gosh, what if my body fails me? And what if I fail the intended parents? When surrogates get into this process, it is very much, we just want them to have a baby. Once you get to a certain point, you've invested yourself
Yeah.
and your family into this process. You're just talking to the intended parents about this awkward, right? So our
Yeah.
surrogates have people who have been surrogates multiple times on my staff that are their advocate and their guidance and that they can call. We have a nurse on staff. So if they're getting bumps and injections or if they need tips and tricks,
Mm,
we provide that. Now, on the flip side, with the intended parents, we know how emotionally, mentally, physically, financially this
mm,
process is, right? And the biggest piece that we manage and help manage, we're not perfect, we're all human, but the anxiety and the unknown and the lack of control, we're trusting this one person to hold our most precious package, right?
yes.
For 9 months or longer, the process, from start to finish can be 15 to 18 months. And you're trusting this
Yeah.
unknown person that you've met briefly on Zoom or Skype and through this agency. A lot of that is letting go of control.
Yeah.
And
I
when
can't
it's so
imagine.
and when it's so emotionally and financially taxing, that's sometimes all you can think about, and you get all worked up about those unknowns. And so our
Yeah.
job is we have intended parents on our staff, and me included, I'm an intended parent, but we really support them in what they need. Each person has their own advocates and their own support model. That's really important and cater to who they are and what they need in the process.
Wow. And that makes for a beautiful outcome, not
Yeah.
just the beautiful child,
Yeah.
but
Hope we all hope for that.
I'm sure you have many stories, some really great and some that maybe didn't go as planned. So when you think of, let's go with both of them. When you think of your worst case scenario, or maybe not worse, but it just didn't go as planned, what story comes up for you or what situation have you seen?
I think the hardest part is science is involved, right? There's so much out of people's control. Surrogate and intended parents can do everything right, from testing their embryos, having a good, healthy egg donor, a sperm donor, and putting that all together, and then putting it into a healthy uterus. And then the baby just stops growing early, or there's a late miscarriage, or we've had stillbirths, right? So there's still this grieving, natural human process that people go through that is just really hard to manage when there's so many parties involved. You can't say, I'm sorry enough. You can't give them explanations because sometimes there's just not an explanation.
There, absolutely.
And that is even with women who naturally have miscarriages or stillborns. Everybody's always searching for a why. You just don't get it. So I think that's a really hard part. It's uncontrolled. You can do everything. But then we have really great stories where people come to us and have their whole family of 2 or 3 kids, and we get to see them as they're growing up. It's really an amazing process, and the joy that it brings both parties is just amazing.
I love it. I love it. It's so beautiful. So, are you able to do this? You said Zoom calls. Is this done throughout the country then? You could be paired possibly with someone out of state. How does that pairing look like?
We actually specialize in international journeys as well. So if
Fantastic.
you think about it, US is that gold standard for medical care. Granted, it's very expensive here. People do go to countries that are not as safe for their parentage piece of it and then being able to parent the baby and be in the birth certificates. In the US, we not only have domestic clients, but we also have international clients. So clients can be overseas in Australia, Europe, South America, Canada, and they come to the US for a US-based surrogate. All of our surrogates are US-based because it is the safest place to have a surrogacy journey because we have really good laws around that to protect everyone. Most states, actually, when you have the baby as a surrogate, it's never your baby. The parents go directly on the birth certificate, and that's whether you're single, married, same-sex married, traditional couple, however your parenting choice is, we can help that domestically. Other countries, it's just not as safe and protected.
Wow. So, you're saying in another country, someone could say, no, this is my child. I birthed it.
Yeah, they could, even though
How
that's true.
scary.
Yeah, but it's their genetics or they did an egg donor. We'd all go about it very ethically and according to US standards. Usually, international countries will accept what the US says. So the
Okay.
baby will have a US birth certificate with both of the parents' names, or if it's a single person, just the single parent on the birth certificate, and then the baby will go back. They don't really know unless they ask a lot of questions. If they do know, usually it's socially acceptable, not done in their home country. Like France, it's not legal, but they recognize what the US says.
That's good to know.
It's just so convoluted sometimes, and that's why we get all the legal professionals involved, for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a great team, great connections. You guys have done this for so long
Yeah.
that you can make sure that someone's not just walking into this blindly. You can guide them when these hiccups actually happen. So,
Yeah.
let's say I am a woman looking to become a surrogate. What are the qualities that you look for, or maybe values that you typically look for?
Sure. So every agency is different and who they like as their core values, right? Everyone is looking for that healthy surrogates, healthy uterus, healthy pregnancies, and just overall health. So what we will do is we will do an intake process to see if you're even a good candidate for our agency. We want people to be honest and authentic to themselves. And I think that's the most important part. If they come to us and say, my uterus is worth $100,000 and that's what they're going to pay me, generally speaking, we say, we're not a good agency for you. Our
Right.
independent parents have been through so much and we want to save them money, at least be on industry standards. and go through that process. We do an intake process that has a social side, mental health evaluation. We have a nurse on staff that reviews all of her medical records just to make sure she's overall healthy. Once she gets through that part, she goes into the matching phase. Each intended parent works with a different clinic. So one doctor is not the same as the other. We make sure that her health and her background match what their doctor is going to need. Then we talk about the relationship piece of it. What do you want before, during, and after? What kind of communication do you want? Do you want someone who's going to communicate every day, or someone who just has a date? I always call them date nights once a week on Sunday to check. We want to make sure that aligns together. Because if one intended parent wants contact every day in the surrogates, I work full time, the kids, I might get you every 2 or 3 days. I don't want, we want to make sure everyone's aligned in their expectations of relationship and communication. Also, termination stands. Unfortunately, in 25, we're having to have these conversations around women's rights, and it really impacts our business and what we do. No matter what anyone chooses for themselves, right now, some states are not aligned with women's choices. We have to talk about that and what that looks like as well. Doing this for so long and being in the professional arena, we try to stay completely updated on everything that changes. We always default to attorneys and doctors, but ultimately, it's just really hard.
So say that something is going wrong in the pregnancy. Is it the surrogate that gets to determine if the baby is aborted, or if it's a health concern for the surrogate, or is it the family that has a say in that? How does that work?
There's lots of different elements involved. And again, these are matching points. So we don't want to match a surrogate who doesn't want to term, she doesn't want to do any of that, with someone who wants the option of terminating.
Right.
With consent today, we get to do testing of the embryos. So you can test for chromosomal abnormalities like Down syndrome, spina bifida, things that are life-changing for not only the child, but also the family. Some intended parents say, no, I just want my baby no matter what. And so you can do everything perfect and still something go wrong.
Absolutely.
So this is discussed during the matching phases on what she won't and won't do, or will and won't do, as well as what the parents want and don't want to do. And then in contracts, it's really in contracts as well. So even, God forbid, something happens with the surrogate and she's on life support. Let's say she had a bad accident, and it talks through in those contracts what the scenario looks like. Who makes those decisions? Do they come together and make those decisions? But that's all in the contract phase.
Decided before a baby.
Yeah. Of course, we're not going to hold anyone down and force them to do what they don't want to do. But a lot of this process is based on trust. And it's so hard for someone you haven't met and known forever in your life, right? It's just so challenging either way. And I think that's one of the biggest pieces of surrogacy, is that you have to trust someone, and the doctors and attorney. As an intended parent, it's so hard emotionally. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I just paid all this money and I trust these people to make the best decision. And I know, but I can't imagine
every day. The outcome is just amazing. It's beautiful endings. It's just a lot to think about that goes into this, whereas an average couple that's just conceiving is just gonna have a baby. But for those that are not able to, you guys are there to support them through it emotionally, physically, all of these things psychologically that comes up when you say your hormones are now telling you something else and you agreed to this, and the politics are changing every day. You definitely need someone guiding you through this process. I can't even imagine.
And through the intake process, we really drill down into these hot topics, right? Because we want to make sure that everyone is aligned even before you meet that intended parent. We don't want to send you profiles to look at, and none of them are what you asked for. So really trying to find that perfect match for you as a surrogate is so important. If we're doing a job on the other side and drilling down with the intended parents of what they want, those two matches to come together. And it's really a beautiful day when we have a couple of matches come through. Everyone just loved their conversation. and have so much in common. And we really pride ourselves on that piece of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why I just thought about this. I remember hearing in the news of this woman wanted multiple babies and she got several surrogates at once. She had 20 surrogates and all these babies were born at the same time. I don't know if you heard that story, but I was just like, I don't know, when that came to mind. I was just like, I guess if you have the money, you could do that. Or maybe that's a value thing, depending on who the agency that you're working with. But that was a wild story.
Yeah. And our agency definitely would not do that. There are times where clients will come to us and say, hey, we want to do what's called dual journey. So we have two going at the same time.
Okay.
But that's safer than having twins, right? Because twins is so high risk for a
Yeah.
woman and the babies.
Twins.
In doing that, we just make sure we're fully transparent. I don't think we'd do any more than two at a time. We stagger those so they can be at both births and be involved in both of the journeys. We just aren't a good fit for you if you want even 3 or 4 going at the same time. It's just not how we operate. We want it to be a really joyous occasion, and you can't celebrate more than 3 or 4 at a time, I think.
Especially if they're in different locations. Unless you have the money to fly them all in at the same hospital and you're there.
Yeah.
But yeah, even
Anybody ever leaving their home or their lifestyle to go and do this either, right?
yeah,
Just go,
right.
everything will be fine.
Yeah, it's great. One enough is a whole blessing in itself. You don't have to put a million out there.
Exactly.
What does it look like for the woman, the couple, the single person coming to the agency?
For sure.
What are they there for? What are they struggling with that you help them along with?
Sure. So it could be anything. Maybe she's a little bit older and waited too long to have kids, and her eggs aren't that great and she needed an egg donor. Or she struggled with unknown fertility for a long time and had multiple miscarriages. We also have same-sex couples come through. They need all the pieces coming together. And then you have single parents that have consciously decided to be a single parent. That's just what their life choice is. Or a lot of single gay men come through and say, I want a baby and I haven't had a partner to accompany this, and I just want to be a parent. So I think there's so many avenues of being a family right now, and we support all of them for sure.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. That's great. Even still friends today, like I have a really close gay couple, both males, and I'm just like, I love them so much. If they ever need somebody, I'm like, I'm here for you. I also used to think, would I be an egg donor? Am I the right person to be an egg donor because my biological child then in the world?
Yeah.
So that's a lot to think about, to think that, okay, once I use my egg, this is technically my child I'm giving away. Have you ran into any of that where people regret it? I can't even. Eventually, I became to accept it. If I was going to do it, I was like, yes, it's such a beautiful gift to be able to give someone. Say if I'm done having kids anyway, if that was, we're going to get into that because I need you to coach me through this stage of my life. But just say I was completely done having kids and I was like, yes, I want to give an egg and carry the baby for my friends for them to have a child. I would be absolutely good with that. Otherwise, that child doesn't exist anyway. Right. So for me to allow that child to have a life, I just feel like that's a beautiful thing. So have you had any circumstances like that where the mom is maybe just not in it anymore or changed their minds?
So our agency, what you're talking about is egg donation or traditional surrogacy. Traditional surrogacy is where you use your someone else's sperm, you carry it and give the child over to the parents. Where what I've done is gestational surrogacy, where I am not genetically tied to the baby at all. Went through a lot of soul searching when I was younger. And I think maybe that's why I'm so businessy. I didn't really bond with my own children until they were out. I didn't, I love being pregnant. That's just not me. And I went through when I was younger, could I be an egg donor? For me personally, I could never be an egg donor. In a million years, you couldn't pay me enough because and maybe it's weird thinking, walking down the street, I could see a child that looks just like
That
me.
looks like you. I've thought of that too.
And I was like, no way.
Yeah.
We have people that donate their eggs for their friends and then they have to get a surrogate. We've had
Okay.
also same, I love, now I think I'm more used to it where let's say you have a same sex couple
Sure.
and the opposite, like one gives their sperm and the other partner, their sister or their cousin donated the egg,
Okay.
and then they had someone
Okay.
carry. So they're
Oh,
genetically tied, so to speak, with the two.
okay. Got
But
you.
yeah, but if you think about it, there's a lot with traditional and they're called known donations where you know who the donors are. There's a lot of counseling that has to be done prior to and potentially
Mhm.
through the process because you want to talk about boundaries. Is it co-parenting or are you
Yeah.
signing the baby over? There's lots of different pieces. We are not the right agency for anyone trying to do traditional surrogacy
Ooh,
because
okay.
there's a lot more involved. There are some great agencies out there that do that, but it is an emotional roller coaster on top of
Oh,
what
yeah.
they're doing. And sometimes those boundaries get crossed. So don't handle those cases. But we can
Sure.
refer you to an agency that is great with those. We love where there's two same-sex partners, they use their sister and then they use a clinic and do IVF and then put it in a surrogate that we're helping them with. So that
Oh,
works quite a bit.
oh, that's awesome. I didn't even think of that. Then the child has both the genetics of both families.
Yeah, both.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think for me, so I'm 40. My children, this is going to get really personal now. My children is with someone other than my now partner of nearly 3 years. Their dad is not in the picture at all. I talk a lot about that on my podcast, how toxic the relationship was. It's just better, it's healthier for us. He chose not to be in their life because he just fell off anyway. But it's better that way. I've come to terms with it. I think about my partner now. Does he want his own biological children? Is this enough for him? He said he wanted 2 kids. Technically, he has 4 kids. For the longest time, I've seen friends get older and then they don't have children and they regret it. And I don't want him to be that person. I don't want it to be like I'm almost like I'm the reason because I came into it with 4 kids and he chose not to have his own biological kids, or God forbid, what if we didn't work out and then I'm stripping those kids away from him and now he's older and it's too late for him to have kids. I'm 40 now and we still haven't finalized the decision. This might be a lot of tea for the people that know me personally. Like if tomorrow I am yearning for my own biological child. I would absolutely support that. Now, I've had my tubes tied. I would probably have to do IVF or pay to get the tubes reversed and have them. But sometimes that surgery doesn't work out. It sounds like I could carry the baby, but would a woman like me want to maybe freeze her eggs or put them on reserves until I made that decision? Because what if it
Well,
42, 43, and I don't know if any eggs are good?
this is definitely a doctor question, so we
I
refer
was like,
you.
wait, maybe you can get me through. I don't know.
There's levels that you can test, and obviously your eggs aren't being released, but there's levels
Right,
in
true.
your blood that can see how fertile you are, or a simple ultrasound can, with fertility doctor, can see if you have any eggs, and they can go get them. So
Right.
it's definitely an IVF type situation. The reversal, like you said, doesn't work a lot. When I got my tubes tied, they burnt those ends. They tied them and burnt the
Yeah.
end. There's no turning back. It would depend on that tube tying situation, but I refer you to some doctors. Or there's another way where you have donor embryos where it's not genetically either of your guys's, and then you carry the baby, or an egg donor if you don't have the eggs.
Right.
Most likely you're gonna have to use IVF.
I was thinking that too. So if I came and I was like, I would be the surrogate, I would go to IVF and have them plant it, I guess, in my own utero. I don't know if there's an age limit for me to carry what would be my own child.
We have seen and heard stories where grandparents are caring for their grandchildren or children, right? I always tell people, if you have a surrogate that's 42, 43, remember that her uterus doesn't grow old, so to speak. It just wears out. A lot of babies are C-sections, and it's not a healthy uterus, but it's not an organ that
Stops working. I've had so many C-sections. I've had 3. There's a lot of factors, right?
yeah, but definitely if you ever need someone to talk to, I can refer you to someone.
I love that. Thank you. I know you have all the connections.
That's for sure.
Working
For sure.
in this field, you probably have heard so many different stories. I wonder if you want to share a personal story of yours about your own child that was conceived, you being a surrogate. Do you want to share
Sure.
what that story looks like?
Sure. So I had my own 2 biological children. Their dads are toxic, and I was young and stupid and had babies and with people that I shouldn't have. But I'm super honored that they're here and they're mine, both above 18. So I'm super grateful.
It happens. We get there.
And I went on to carry for 3 other families after that. I had just moved back to Oregon. I worked at Nike in management. I was helping people, maybe 3 to 5 cases a year with surrogacy. It was very side. So I was working at Nike World Headquarters, and someone approached me and said, "Hey, will you carry for this single intended mom? She lives in Austria. She's using donor egg and donor sperm, but she's older, so she cannot carry." I said, "Okay, this is going to be my last hurrah." My 4th journey, I had already had 3 C-sections, and I said, "Okay, I'll do it." So I talked to her. The match meeting went great. The clinic was overseas. We work in a hybrid community where we'll send the surrogate outside the country for transfer, but all the medical legal things are done here. I went and transferred 2 embryos. Around that 18-week mark, thank goodness there was only 1 embryo, healthy baby, healthy uterus, everything's good. Around that 18-week mark, my doctor diagnosed me with placenta increta. That is where the placenta grows into the uterine lining and starts invading other organs. Before technology, that's how women died during pregnancy, because
Wow, how scary.
It is. And so here I am, still a single mom of 2, working. I wasn't working at Nike. I actually resigned, did the surrogacy journey thinking, okay, I'm going to focus 100% on my business. I'll do this journey for not money, but it's okay. I'm going to see if I can take off and make a business out of it now. Right. And so around 18 weeks, I got diagnosed with placenta increta, told the intended mom, and radio silence. Here I am. We have to start the parentage process here in Oregon. Starts around 20 weeks. I can't get a hold of her. The doctors, the attorneys, no one can get a hold of her. She won't respond to any emails. And
Oh my gosh.
in Austria, it's illegal. And so you would basically have to go and pound on someone's door and say, "Take this baby. It's not mine." Even then, getting the parentage piece of it would be challenging because
it's not matched, right?
there's a
And
contract.
the first, right?
Yeah, I hadn't been paid either in my contract because me thinking of everything, money wasn't in escrow. So I hadn't
And you've done this many times, right?
I own an agency. Why would anyone do that?
Oh my gosh.
So here I am getting a lot of medical advice from my doctor, having MRIs and checking the uterus all the time, watching for any kind of medical side effects. There's a lot of risk on that side. Meanwhile, it's just my kids, and I'm starting to prep them because my doctor's really into me.
You're a mom of 2 healthy kids, and you guys are living your life, and then this child you're carrying, you have no one to hand it off to at birth, and you have all these complications. How scary for the whole family, not just you. You're going through it with your kid.
Yeah, it was scary. And then my kids really understand surrogacy. So they go to school and talk about it. I'm pregnant, and the teacher's, "Oh, are you so excited to have a brother or sister?" And they're like, "It's not ours." And so I was explained. My son is 11. My daughter is 8. I go to them and I said, "The baby in mommy's belly," because they knew I was pregnant. I mean, my friends knew, but I wasn't really close with my family at the time. So no one knew.
How?
Then I said, "Okay, so if something happens, if to mommy and she doesn't come home," like we're having these discussions. Me in the back of my mind thinking, this lady's going to come get her kid. I don't have to plan on having a newborn. So then I tell my family later in the pregnancy where my doctor's, "You really need to tell someone and get things in line." So I finally tell my sister, and we all sit down, and I'm crying because I'm scared. No one can reach her. And my attorneys now are saying, like, we're out of time. So you need to decide what you're going to do. Or you put the baby in the system. Are you going to keep the baby, adopt the baby out? What are you going to do here? It's like, what? This isn't my baby. I don't want a baby. This was supposed to be me starting my business and empowering women to do all these great things.
What did your mom and sister say? What were their feelings
They were
on
just
it?
like, I just can't believe it because I'd already helped 3 families. This does not happen. Even today, this does not happen. I think I'm the only case I've ever heard of parents
Wow.
just disappearing. And so we finally drilled down around 30, 31 weeks. The doctor said, I'm taking the baby at 32 and 3. So if I'm going back, you have
You
to
have less time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And at the hospital, you got to talk to the social worker. So the social worker was contacting me like, what are you going to do? I'm talking to the attorney. I said, please just one last go. All the doctors, the clinic, everybody, please just reach out to her. I don't want this baby. No response. Are at almost 32 weeks. I sit down with my mom, my sister, and my 2 kids. And I finally say, okay, the baby in mommy's belly doesn't have a place to go. I think that to be honest, when I sat down with that conversation, I cried a lot, but I thought the amount of stress and anxiety surrounding me every night, I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't doing anything good for myself for sure.
Sure.
And I just thought, okay, I'll just adopt the baby out. That's the thing that's the best. My son at that time was 11. He just said, Mom, we'll take her. I said, buddy. So do you know what that means? And I'm like crying. And I said, do you know that means dirty diapers and crying in the middle of the night and all these things?
Yeah.
And my now 18-year-old daughter, she's, I'll take care of her. She'll be like my little baby. I'm like, well, that's not how this works.
That's not,
Just
not way more to this.
We're laying out some expectations here that this is going to be a good kid. That's not going to have colic. That's what I'm thinking in my brain. Right?
Applications, and you raise all your kids the same and they just come out different. You've got one that sleeps through the night and then the next child doesn't sleep at all. So you have no idea what to expect.
Exactly. And so here we are knowing that at 32 and 3, she's going to be in the NICU, right? So I'm getting steroid shots and all of that. So she has a chance. And so my mom said, I guess we have our answer. And I was like, okay, so I guess we're having a baby. And,
Wow.
And I just remember going into the hospital, like having a basic baby bag, because I think like in the back of my mind, the lady was still coming.
You're still in denial. You're definitely still denying, like, yeah, everybody's saying this. I'm nodding my head. Yeah, we're keeping the baby. But you're like, no, someone's going to come and take this. And I don't want to be fully in it anyway, because she can come today, tomorrow, and pick up this baby.
And then, so she wasn't breathing when she came out. I had to have a C-section hysterectomy. I remember seeing them run the baby out to the NICU and I was knocked out immediately.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How scary.
Yeah. So when I woke up 6 or 7 hours later, my mom was there and she said, baby's fine. She's breathing. Thank goodness you got the steroid shots and she's doing fine. That little stinker only spent 9 days in the NICU. And she was always pulling out all her wires and everything. And she was tiny. I would say she looked like a little old man crossed with an alien.
Fierce. She was like, yeah, this is how I'm coming into the world. Absolutely.
Exactly. So we came home and had to get a special car seat for her because she was under 5 pounds. It was tiny. Now, we did luck out. She actually slept through the night almost from the beginning.
Fantastic.
To this day, I look at her. I'm not genetically tied to her, but I did carry her, right? She's egg donor and sperm donor. I think they mixed the most 2 beautiful, it's Russian or Ukrainian with blonde hair, blue eyes, with a Greek sperm donor. So has a dark skin and gray piercing eyes. She literally has one of the sweetest souls, and she totally completed our family. Of course, going from 2 to 3 as a single mom was really hard. I had nightmares of the woman sending ninjas in the middle of the night and taking
my gosh.
child.
Like, this is my baby, right? I will not take her. You will not show up. Oh,
And my family law attorney said, as soon as you can, you need to go get a passport. You're going to be protected, and in Oregon, you're the birth mother, no matter if there was a surrogacy contract in there. So I'm on the birth certificate by myself.
okay.
But you never know, right? I live
Never know.
here in anxiety about it. I wouldn't let anyone watch her for the first 18 months. When she was 6 or 7, I met my now husband. He ended up adopting her. So she has the dad. It's great. She's amazing and really completed our family. I could not ask for a better situation, but definitely
Yeah.
not her. I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
Walking through flames. Oh
And
my gosh.
And now she's going into 5th grade next week, and she
Yeah.
models, and she does all these acting things she just loves, and we just
Yeah.
love watching her grow.
Such a beautiful story. I love all of that, all the pieces. Like, no matter what, you don't know why you're on the path that you're on. And look where it led you, and your family is complete. And
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I put it into the kids' hands to make those choices. I was like, "I don't want a baby. Moms will just keep her." But then
sure.
when my son spoke up and he was like, We'll just keep her and we'll take care of her." And I was like,
Wow.
"Okay, buddy, if I don't come home, you're gonna be living at TT's house and or Guam." To this day, they are all so close.
Oh,
And they
beautiful.
very much take care of her and love on her all the time. So I think that's part of who she's become as she grows up, is that everybody just loves on her. I don't know, because of the situation, because sometimes she's just a stinker and she's
I have a 10-year-old, and she's just, ooh, I'm like, girl, how are you a teenager in a child's body?
her and her skincare and all this
The
stuff.
skincare. This girl has more skincare than I've had in my entire life added up. In fact, I asked them to keep it down while I'm on the podcast, right? So my kids are home, but I'm like, if you be quiet and don't interrupt me, we'll go get skincare after this. Usually you're saying you can get a toy, right?
Yeah,
No,
it's not.
skincare is the option.
Right.
There's a lot of habits, and if it's skincare,
You were-
okay, with that, it could be way worse.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a beautiful story, Megan. And I love that you get to share it yourself. Thank you for being open. Thank you
Course.
for telling us about this process and the impact that you're making on lives, men, women. It doesn't matter what the background of the couple. We just want these beautiful families. And you've provided that gift to 3 families. Your family has grown perfectly into your family of 5. And I love sharing this. I hope the listeners gathered so much from this. Let's talk about where they can reach you if they want to follow you, get more information about surrogacy, if they need you guys for your own resources, where can they find you?
For sure. Very inclusive of who wants to be a parent. We're very open, whether you choose our agency or you just need, oh my gosh, can you just point me in their direction to have a confidential conversation? Or, hey, in your experience, can
Yeah.
I just talk to you on what this looks like and what this feels like? Give us a call, give us an email,
Mm.
come find us. I'm so happy to just at least point people in the right direction, because ultimately, I would love it if no one ever needed my business and I had to work for
Oh,
someone else. That means
oh,
it's not needed.
yeah,
But the reality is it is.
it is
And
needed.
I think part of being a parent is being vulnerable, being open, starting to have conversations about fertility
Right.
or infertility or
Yes.
in a same-sex relationship. Let's talk about it and find some solutions for you.
Yes.
And we're happy to have those conversations, whether you use us or not. At least you're here. At least you're talking about it. At least you're getting help. And if you choose not to get help, that's okay too. It's all over. But I think for so long, it's just been taboo. Not only surrogate, but infertility, male infertility, infertility levels, so to speak, and different people that are impacted. I just want to get out there and be authentic to myself and able to be able
Yeah.
to help people ultimately.
And please, if a friend who is going through this or Megan can help in any way, share this episode with a friend. I know I have friends that are going to love to hear what you have to say and are going to want to speak to you. You're a wealth of information, and you've even guided me on my journey. Just your insight. It's so life-changing, the gems that you dropped today. And I'm so grateful for you saying yes to being on the She Elevates podcast. Really appreciate it. I always ask our guests one last question. If there's one piece of advice or one final message that you want to leave the listeners of She Elevates podcast, what would that be for you, Megan?
I think the biggest piece, and what I always tell people, is no matter what journey you're on, you have to trust the process. Be authentic to yourself, trust the process and the journey that you're on. Get help, talk about it, because someone else might be in the same boat and they're afraid. So really elevate yourself, trust the process, and just love who you are. And no matter if that includes a family, doesn't include a family, empower other people to be their best as well.
Oh, yes. It's so true. Fear holds us back from so much, even these conversations, right? Just speaking about it, share it with somebody. You never know, that person might have had a similar situation and they were scared to share it too. And although my journey isn't about having children, my journey was about being in a toxic relationship. And I thought nobody else was going through what I was going through until I started speaking up about it. I was like, oh my gosh, unfortunately, there's hundreds, thousands of us going through this and suffering in silence. And by having these conversations, you do not need to suffer alone. You do not. We're all here. We're all connecting. Human empathy is radiating. We all want to be happy, to elevate in life and to grow. We really can get through these challenges together.
For sure. And definitely trust that process, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not being quiet. Sometimes it is internally processing it, but you got to trust yourself, trust the process along the way.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Megan. Really appreciate you. I will make sure to link everything that you have, your website, social, so people can reach out to you. I hope you have a blessed, wonderful day, wonderful week.
Yes, I'm so excited. Hopefully this helps just one person.
Absolutely. Thanks, Megan. Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right. I created something powerful for the woman who's tired of playing small. If you're done surviving and you're ready to rise, this is for you. It's called the She Elevates Blueprint, a 7-day transformational guide to help you reclaim your power, reset your mindset, and redesign your life from the inside out. We're talking confidence, clarity, boundaries, money, love, healing, purpose, every area of your life. Each day, you'll get a journal prompt, an aligned action, an affirmation, and a voice note from me, yours truly. So it feels like I'm right there cheering you on. You're going to feel seen. You're going to feel grounded. And by day 7, you won't even recognize you. If you've been waiting for a sign to elevate your life, this is it. Tap the link, download your free copy of the She Elevates Blueprint, and let's step into your next level together. You're not alone. You're not broken. You're becoming. Let's rise, my queen. Thank you for tuning in to the She Elevates podcast. I hope today's episode poured into you, reminded you of your power, and gave you something to take with you on this journey of elevation. Share it with a friend, your sister, your tribe, because when one of us rises, we all rise. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling generous, leave a review. It helps more women find this movement and step into their highest self. Want more? Come hang with me over on Instagram at Liz Rankin Elevates, or join our free She Elevates community on Facebook, where we heal, grow, and glow together. Until next time, remember this: you're not behind, you're not broken, you're becoming. Keep rising, queen. Your next level is already calling.